The other persuasive text that I wanted you to consider is one that I first read about in the newspaper. And this is the newspaper article in its online version that I read. Bryan Stevenson, the founder of Montgomery's Equal Justice Initiative, delivered a TED Talk earlier this week, that was in March of last year, in Long Beach, California. The audience rewarded him, organizers said, with one of the longest and loudest standing ovations in the more than 20-year history of the conferences. Stevenson's passionate address, which is available on the web, dealt with racial and class inequities of the American criminal justice system and challenged the audience to do something about it. The audience apparently rose to the challenge, according to a post on the TED website. In just a few minutes, 6 people pledged $100,000, 18 pledged $10,000, and more than 100 pledged $1,000, curator Chris Anderson wrote. With subsequent pledges received by text and email and a $100,000 contribution from TED itself, I was able to write Bryan confirming that TED will be writing his organization a check for $1.12 million. Stevenson was traveling and couldn't be reached for comment. Titania Birch, senior development attorney at the Equal Justice Initiative, said the organization hadn't received formal notification of the donation mentioned, but did hear that his speech was well received. People responded positively to his talk, and we heard that people were also generous in their response, she said. I read this article and thought, that must have been a really persuasive speech. And so I looked it up, and since then I've followed what Bryan Stevenson has been doing and what the Equal Justice Initiative has been doing. I want you to take a few minutes, it's about a 20-minute talk, and I want you to listen to what Bryan Stevenson says in his speech, which is titled, "We Need to Talk About Injustice." I've provided all of the links that you need to get here, but this is Bryan Stevenson's talk, filmed in March of 2012, entitled, "We Need to Talk About Injustice." This speech is on TED Talks, which is a conference of individuals who come together to share ideas. If you're interested, you can go to the TED.com website and find a variety of talks on a wide variety of subjects. But you can see what their purpose is. And that would be one of the things you could consider if you were writing a rhetorical analysis. But as you listen to his talk, I want you to see if you can identify the appeals: logos, pathos, ethos. You remember the text in your Writing Today text, there were examples of different types of constructions, an if-then, an either-or, that are used when we use logical appeals, ethical appeals, and emotional appeals. As you listen to him, I want you to see if you can identify those. I'll also provide you a little bit of additional information. One, the fact that Bryan Stevenson argued a case before the Supreme Court and won a little bit later in the year. There are several articles about him and what he's done, and I thought, though, that it was important. Part of the reason I wanted you to look at Obama's speech is because what Stevenson is presenting is in the context of a legal system that is the result of or came in part from the culture that existed and has existed in this country. Some of the things that Obama mentioned in A More Perfect Union are things that Bryan Stevenson talks about in his comments about our justice system and the problems that he felt we need to address. Problems that he presented in such a way that his audience donated money to his cause.